you're a kid, the whole world feels simultaneously exciting yet very alien, like a new frontier waiting to be explored. We all would romanticize that yet unlived experience of being an adult, imagining how fulfilling all of that freedom and agency would feel. How would it be to finally get out of our parents' house, have our own money, accomplish our dreams, and become the idealized self we always expected ourselves to somehow metamorphose into? That's how it was in my case. I'm sure it was for most of you too. We held that assumption in our minds and continued being kids, but the future is now the present, and it's pretty obvious that you don't have the money that you thought you would have, or that dream job you pined after. You don't have a girlfriend or a house, you never developed skills in what you were interested in, or ones that can be monetized, and generally, you don't represent what you believe in. Now, maybe you check some or none of these boxes, but what I'm saying is you click this video for a reason. Because you don't feel successful. And I'd argue that it isn't entirely your fault. In fact, the system that promised us unending sunshine and rainbows is the very same system that engineered our stagnation. Let me explain what I mean. When I first started college, I expected that if I followed the unspoken guidelines I learned all throughout my life, go to school so you can get a job, then you'll experience fulfillment, to be the foundation of a good life to live. Some set of rules that, if lived by, would guarantee my happiness and self-worth. But, like most people starting out, I didn't have money. I wasn't smart enough to get the scholarships to offset the expenses, and my family couldn't front all of my costs. I failed my freshman year, switched majors from something I loved to something quote-unquote more realistic, and took out more loans than I can feasibly imagine paying myself back. Now I'm finishing up my degree, and by making sacrifices where I thought I needed to, and not quitting even in the face of adversity, I still have absolutely no idea where I'm going. And sometimes, the person in the mirror feels like a stranger. 4 years have passed, and I'm still barely able to afford an apartment. 4 years have passed, and I'm still asking my parents for food. I still haven't hit that standard I envisioned for myself all those years ago. Most people haven't. But then I started thinking, were those really my standards? Did I want to get a realistic job and spend my life being comfortable, or resign myself doing something that made sense? Was that something I believed in, or was it something I was told? Then I realized that, so far, the only contribution to society I've made by harboring society's ideals has been accumulating thousands of dollars in debt. So, that's obviously not working. What else use was there in following that outdated structure any further? And I think a lot of people fall into this pattern, being pushed around by perceived expectations and guidelines. I mean, we all tend to make compromises here and there that add up over time. We can't really intuit the magnitude of those upcoming catastrophes we've set in motion, and we can only deal with them as they arise, but oftentimes those compromises are the best ones we can make given our circumstances, so we make them. As we chase that end goal, which may not even be the one we want to achieve, we're motivated by everything and everyone around us to make sacrifices in order to make it happen. It's really easy to get caught up in the thought, if I do what I'm supposed to do right now, then I'll get to where I want to be in the future. But years pass by, and soon you're the person you never wanted to be, someone who lets the world run your life. I hate to say that I went through a quarter-life crisis because I perceive it as something as vapid and pitiful, but it's true. And I imagine my criticism of it is rooted in projection or something, but regardless, I was all too aware that this was where my life was heading. But by that point, I was all but helpless in the belief that I could prevent it. And like I said earlier, it's all too easy to distract yourself from an upcoming catastrophe. So that's what we do. We scroll, we play games, we go clubbing, we smoke, we drink, we sleep, we eat, we do anything we can to distract ourselves from ourselves. And as we scroll and consume, we see others who aren't just doing well, they're doing it way fucking better than us. Some of those people we see are exactly doing what we told ourselves we would do. When we compare ourselves to them, we feel even more miserable. So the cycle of distraction continues. And after a while, that misery we're trying to distract from ourselves gives way to self-hatred, self-blame. And I started to say to myself that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't motivated enough to try, which I feel like is a familiar enough series of thoughts. So I waited for that motivation to come. If I could just want it badly enough, I told myself, things would change. That one day I'd wake up with clarity, with discipline, with direction, and everything in my life would finally click. But lo and behold, it never did. And I'll tell you why. Motivation doesn't show up out of nowhere. It comes after putting in effort into what you value. And I'll tell you something else. Even then, even when the conditions are perfect, you can't always count on it to show up when you're doing everything right. 2 years ago, as of the posting of this video, I spent all of my free time and even some of my school and work time into building a pressure washing business with my buddies. I got a few customers who paid me for my work, but I still knew nothing about what it all entailed. Did I have motivation? In the beginning, fuck yeah, I was motivated. Working for myself seemed like a dream come true. A feasible one at that. But as the months wore on, it took all I had just to keep treading water. Soon, it became mostly about convincing my friends to put in work, putting in every dollar I had, and skipping out on the time I had with friends and family to justify the whole thing existing in the first place. And in the end, I gave up because I didn't want to do it anymore. Do I think that was the right decision? I have mixed feelings about it, but overall, no. Regardless, one question rang through my mind. Did this mean that I was the type of person who could only do something if I wanted to do it? And I think that question mattered more to me than the business ever did. Because once the motivation faded, distraction rushed in to take its place. If the work was too much, I could scroll. If progress slowed down, I could forget about it just by smoking. If things got uncomfortable, there was always something easier that I could take my attention away. So if motivation can't be trusted and distraction is always available, then the question becomes extremely simple. What actually moves your life forward? And the answer isn't some massive reinvention. It's not quitting everything or waiting for the perfect plan to reveal itself. Those are just comforting excuses that lead to the same mode of living. What works is smaller, and honestly, it's really boring. The first thing is, you stop asking who you want to be and start asking what you're willing to practice. Because your personal identity doesn't come about by thinking about yourself all the time. It comes from action. Building things to develop that portfolio of evidence. From showing up to something consistently enough that you can't lie to yourself about it in any regard. And I'm not saying that you should practice 1,000,001 fucking things to get that self-assurance. That's stupid. That's gonna burn you out. You should just focus on one thing, one skill. And you should make it a non-negotiable thing that you're fully focused on. The second thing is reducing the surface area of distraction. If your bad habits are too attractive and attainable, then of course, your effort's gonna lose. You can't beat distraction with willpower. That's as unguaranteed as motivation. You have to make it way too inconvenient and annoying to engage with. And the last thing is accepting that discomfort isn't a signal you're on the wrong path. It's usually a sign that you've stopped numbing yourself, actually. Like I said earlier, this whole process is super boring, and you're gonna doubt yourself, but that doesn't mean that signals failure. That just means you're doing what you said that you would, despite your discomfort level. The version of you that you imagined as a kid wasn't built on freedom. It's easy to envision the end result. That super cool, awesome Chad you wanted to be only comes from sustained effort, especially when you don't feel like putting in any effort. So don't abandon yourself when things get hard, unlike how I did with the pressure washing escapade. And for the final closing words, I didn't really write anything here. I just wanted to speak from the heart. But you're still allowed to build yourself. You're not washed, you're not unked, you're not you're not cooked. You're good, dude. All you need to do is start moving forward. Just keep moving forward. I watched Wall-E recently, and the fat guy, the fat captain in the chair, him saying, "I don't want to survive, I want to live." That just strikes a chord in me, because all of us in this day and age are too focused with survival. How can you not be? The economy is shit, there's no jobs anywhere, and we don't know if there is going to be a tomorrow with the way things are going. But you can still choose to do something for yourself right this moment. And that's something that's an unalienable right. Fuck. You're not just someone who does stuff when they want to. You're not just someone who sacrifices their morals for comfort. You're not just someone who signs away their life for something that you hate. You're you. And every single person on this earth has something unique to contribute, because being someone on this earth implicitly means that you're unique. You're still allowed to build yourself, man. You can still learn That you're not too stupid to. You're not too you're not too hopeless to try. That's all this is. And it doesn't matter that you're not who you thought you'd be. But you're more than what you once were. And that's something beautiful to focus on. Now, I just wanted to say my shit, say my piece. I don't really care if this video does views or anything. It's just something important that I was thinking about. So, if you liked the video, awesome. If you didn't, who gives a fuck? If you want to subscribe, chill. If not, have a good day. But please don't forget what I said. Have a good one.